charity Serve, and Serve work in partnership with redemptorists here in Ireland and in 14 countries around the world in Southeast Asia, South America and Southern Africa. So service in response to the crazy love theme that the others have been speaking about is something that I actually feel slightly comfortable and qualified to talk about. For the past 12 years I've been involved in setting up and running the charity Serve in Dublin, Cork, Galway and Belfast, as well as overseas for different lengths of time. And 10 years ago this weekend I had my first experience of the Galway Novena, but I wasn't standing up here, it was out in the car park during the overall and recruiting volunteers. So being part of the organisation Serve came quite easy to me, as service and being of some use to others was nothing new to me. Maybe I wouldn't have called it service when I was growing up, but service was part and parcel of everyday life for me, my brothers and my sister and my parents growing up in Cork. It could have been bringing a cup of tea and biscuits across the housing estate to Mrs. O'Flaherty, who was on her own and staying for the chat. To be fair, the biscuits didn't always make that journey. Or it could have been driving a 120-mile round trip to Kinmare in County Kerry, where my grandmother was the sacristan of the church, and in her later years she was too stubborn and too proud to let someone else in the parish do it, so we would have to pipe into the fiesta and go down the road to pick up pine needles and hoover the church. Or it could have been my favourite one was spending what seemed like hours sitting in the car with my siblings, no doubt parked on double yellow lines while my mother would have been visiting someone or other in hospital, and we would have been left strict instructions to tell the guard and the traffic warden not to give us a ticket, and my mother was admitting some poor old relation and would be admitted with us momentarily. In reflection, I suppose all these are examples of service, and these experiences led to my new understanding of service. The service is part of who I am now, it's part of my DNA, and it's the same for my whole family. And if you allow yourself to think about your family and your situations, I'm sure you can think of many examples like this also. There is a saying which I'm sure everyone here has heard numerous times: charity begins at home. It is at home that we learn to be charitable. It is there that we begin to understand that others need our help and our support. And it is there that we learn that we all need each other, and that the way that we support each other is through acts of service and kindness. If it was not for my family, and in later years the redemptorists, showing me and giving me opportunities to be of service at home here in Ireland, then I know I would not have ended up involved in the work that I do with Serve overseas. And it's the same for so many Irish people, and we see it time and time again, how people here give so generously in times of great need. Like the typhoon that hit the Philippines 15 months ago, and the city of Tacloban was worst affected, and Serve has been working in Tacloban for about 10 years now. And volunteers and others here in Galway and throughout the country did what they could here to support people on the ground there who lost literally everything over one night, including in a lot of cases family members. So yes, charity does begin at home, but it should not or it cannot stop there. Being of service to others in whatever way we can teach us so much, whether it's going to train a local underage team in sport, or bringing someone who can't drive to an appointment, or preparing the local church or hall for a celebration. It's acts of service like this, while they fulfill a practical function by their nature, they also do so much more by constantly re-educating us and connecting us with what it means to be human and what it means to be a Christian. I believe that the motivation and reason behind the service is always more important than the action itself. Over the past number of years, I worry that we have become much more interested in our own bubble and those immediately around us, and we have lost a lot of the charitable, selfless service that Ireland has been known for. Some may disagree with me, but I believe that we have become very distracted by other things: technology, money, appearances, that as a consequence, the sense of well-being that comes with living a life of service to others has paid the price. One example that I came across, that I'm sure some of you have seen, is the 1% Difference campaign. This campaign encourages people to give 1% of their time or their money to a good cause. The idea being that if you give as little as 1%, then you have done your bit for society. They even have a calculator on the website, which will help you figure out how much 1% means for you. When I saw this, I couldn't help think, well, what are we supposed to do with the other 99%? Are we being encouraged to spend all of this on ourselves? Have we become that precious about time and our resources that our government have to come up with a campaign to get us as citizens to give a measly 1% of ourselves to others around us. Without doubt, the biggest challenge facing the world today is inequality, both at home and internationally. The gap between those who have and those who have not is growing every year, and Ireland now is more divided economically than it has ever been in the past. We live in a time where every country now has rich and poor within its borders. What role will service play in addressing this balance? This is the question that I struggle with a lot. What is it that I can do here and now to help bring about the change that I see is required? And what can you do? What can we do to bridge that gap, to make this country a more equal country and our world? I've no doubt that Pope Francis has been quoted a lot during this Novena. Francis seems to be very aware that his actions have the potential to inspire others. In Francis, we have an example of someone who is able to integrate service into their everyday life. Service to him is like breathing. We have heard countless stories about he has been serving others his whole life. And what surprises me most about Pope Francis' acts of service is the reaction of everyone else. How shocked and surprised about how giving and selfless the head of the Catholic Church seems to be. The Francis factor, as it's so been called, attracts a lot of attention from people all over the world, and the sentiment seems to be, what will he do next, rather than what will I do next. I'm sure that Francis' actions are not done to amuse us or to entertain us, but to rather there as an example, as St. Paul says in his letter to the Corinthians, of using whatever skills we have to be of service to others. We all have a responsibility to serve others. How can we do this? We can do this by starting now, by starting in the home, by being people whom serving others becomes as natural as breathing, being people who give of ourselves freely, being a community who look out for one another and who aren't afraid to utilise the skills and talents of those around us, believing and trusting that charity that begins at home can grow into creating a more equal world where everyone can live a life full of dignity and not suffer from the crippling effects of poverty or inequality. So this is our challenge, to leave here today and to start living a life